One of the major retailers of cameras in the 1960s, 70s and 80s was Dixons. Now Dixons were a huge company, mainly in the photographic field, and eventually they joined with Curry's and sadly the name died out. But as I said, in the 70s most high streets would have a Dixons on the high street, and they were so huge they even took over the Wallace Heaton, the really good photographic shop in Bond Street. So Dixons were a big name in photography, and Dixons also badged a whole range of photographic equipment, and particularly from the makers of Shinnon. From my memory, I don't think you could actually buy a camera labelled Shinnon in the 1970s in the UK. They basically were distributed through Dixons, and Dixons used the name Prince, and this is the Prinzflex. And this is a camera from 1968, and it's quite sophisticated for 1968. Remember, the competition would have been the likes of the Pentax Spotmatics and the Canon, and Olympus were coming out. The Nikon have sort of kicked it all off, but the SLR was a camera that people desired, and this is typical of the time. We have a screw fitting lens, and I must admit this is a bit loose, but it seems okay. There you can see the mirror in there. What is slightly different to this camera is that the shutter speed is here. To load the camera, we have a little button at the bottom here. If we press that, we can put the film in and take it over there. Button wind on, nice positive click. The indicator number here. The plastic seems to be missing. The shutter speeds are working nicely on here. Unfortunately, the meter isn't working, but this type of camera you can still use by using the Sunny 16. So if it's sunny and we've got a 120, if it's sunny and we've got a 100 ISO film and a shutter speed of 125, it's 16. And if it's slightly less sunny, it's 11. If it's a bit cloud, 8. Very cloudy, 5.6. Dull, 4. That is the Sunny 16. I do have a video on that if you want to see it. So basically, as the meter's not working, I have to set my focusing, which is simple, through the viewfinder. Set my aperture according to the front here. Shutter speed here. Click. And ride on. Now the camera sounds good. It sounds positive, but as I said, I felt the lens was a little bit loose, although when I'm looking through the viewfinder it seemed clear. I wasn't sure whether this was going to be a worker or not. I forgot to mention that if the meter was working, you put a battery in the bottom here, and you've got a meter here, which is very much like the press it down for on, which is quite similar to the Spotmatic of the time. So let's see what happened when I actually used this camera and whether I got any decent results. Well, we are in sunny Wareham today, and I must say this camera is performing okay. The images are clear, the exposures seem to be fine. I say the images are clear, they are moderately sharp, but they are not ultra sharp. This could be because, as I said, the lens did feel to me a little bit loose, so maybe one of the elements is loose in the lens. Or it's just, wasn't a top of the range camera, it was a middle of the range camera, and maybe the lens just isn't the finest of lenses. Having said that, as you can see, these images came out absolutely fine, and the camera was actually quite nice to use. Reminded me a lot of using the Pentax Spotmatic. Again, not quite the same build quality, but not a bad camera. And it's this sort of, as you can see, this plate is absolutely fine and is in focus. So I would say, if you find one of these, why not give it a go? You never know with some of these badged cameras. As I said, I think it's actually a casino. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you soon. Bye for now.